Queen Vic Markets, located just north of the CBD at the juncture of Elizabeth and Victoria Streets, is the last remaining open-air market in Melbourne. Its history begins in 1836, when the first settlers of Melbourne were buried in what is now Flagstaff Gardens, southwest of the site. As the city's population expanded, the Melbourne Cemetery was shifted northeast into what would later become the parking lot for the QVM. While many burials were distributed to make space for this redevelopment, up to 9,000 human remains are still unexhumed beneath the market, juxtaposing a bustling place filled with life with the resting place of our city's first dead. The organisation of wholesale markets in Melbourne was regularised in 1841, and the formal opening of the Victoria Market was celebrated on the 20th of March, 1878. At the time of its establishment, the QVM was an essential part of life in Melbourne and was considered the primary location for fresh produce in Melbourne for almost a century, from 1878 to 1975. While there is activity across the QVM site, we noticed it concentrates around the union of Queen and Theory Streets, where current infrastructure provides places for people to congregate in relative comfort. Small trees, paving and seats all contribute to this. From looking at the Queen Victoria Market hashtag on Instagram, we were able to determine the features of the market that are most appreciated by the public, taking into account that 67% of Instagram users are 18 to 29 years old and make up only one demographic of those who visit QVM. We discovered that the most common shot was taken of the Melbourne skyline, often from Stringbean Alley or during the night market. This was followed by photos of produce, food and coffee and the iconic donut van. These images helped us to understand what is intrinsic to the identity of QVM. The night market was the second most common image, which highlights its importance as an iconic event and destination, which draws people to QVM specifically for the experience. It is important to identify the key features of such events that make them such enjoyable experiences and attempt to replicate these throughout the market. Other relaxation zones are located predominantly around the indoor market zones, namely the meat markets and deli sections. Inbuilt seating and small tables provide brief rest spaces, but do not overly encourage people to linger in these areas. The majority of the open-air zones in the market lack human-scale, friendly architectural interventions that would encourage people not simply to shop, but to engage with others and create a space for other activities, further enhancing the social and cultural atmosphere of the market. The places where people congregate are influenced by many factors. Shade provided by canopy coverage and buildings reduces the urban heat island effect of the city and creates more habitable spaces. The most open area on the site is along Queen Street, and is also the warmest. This makes the space uninviting for people to linger in and divides the market into two distinct sections. This is further exacerbated by vehicle traffic along Queen Street, which makes it difficult for pedestrians to travel between the open air and enclosed sections of the market. From our study of the marketplace, we realised that the QVM, while being an iconic landmark and destination for shopping, is not creating places for other activities. We noticed especially that parents with children seem stressed and hurried while shopping at QVM, and it would be interesting to create a zone that encourages play, as well as relaxation and engagement with others, to enhance the social aspects of this historic market. We nominated Queen Street as the area most in need of rejuvenation, as it acts as the union between the open-air markets and the meat hall. A precedent we looked at was the High Line in New York. Which is a well-utilised corridor of space that creates opportunities for optional activity and is a destination in and of itself. It also acts as a living system, increasing biodiversity in the built-up city of New York. By including these ideas of ecology and the creation of flexible space in the redesign of QVM, the old markets could be brought back to life in a modern context, helping the Queen Vic markets to remain the landmark they are for another 100 years.